Welcome to Winning Life Wednesday, a podcast brought to you by On the Attack with Mac of Mac Attack Media. That's my little media company that I created. But we created a new show called Winning Life Wednesday, talking to entrepreneurs all around the country and even the world potentially who are winning in life because a win to you is a win to you. It might be different than someone else who is winning in life in Florida or somewhere else like that. But today we're going to be talking to one of my homeboys over in California. His name is Eric Triplett, and he is the Pond Digger on all social media platforms. And we're going to hear today about how he grew up, what inspired him to get into business, what things have made him successful, what is a win in his life, and also what are some tips that he uses today that you could take home with yourself, right? So that you can start to implement those things that he's using to make himself successful in his own eyes. And maybe it is something that can help you. So I'm excited tonight to talk to my boy, Eric Triplett, the Pond Digger. And we're going to dive into his story starting right now. Let's go. What's
Oh,
going on, E? How are you,
oh,
bro?
let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to the show, bro, and thank you for being the second guest on Winning Life Wednesday. Whenever I ended the other show and I said I was going to do something new, I wanted to have some powerful, powerful people who I know are out here not just killing in business, but winning in life. And you were one of the people that popped into my mind first. So I'm so excited to have you on the show and hear more about your story. Me and you have got to do some pot row things together. We've done another podcast or two together. We've met each other. We become brothers, and I'm excited to hear more about your story, bro. So welcome to the show.
Honored to be here, man. I just love watching you come up, dude. Love watching all these chess moves you got going in the background. You're killing it, dude. I love it.
Right.
Congratulations.
So you asked me before we hit record, what is we did this before, what are we going to do now? And I was like, I want to hear more about your story because we all come from different places in life, E. And I know I never been to California before, so life growing up for you had to be extremely different than life growing up for me. And so I like to hear those stories because when we get to know people and then hear about the things that are making them successful now, we get to learn and then take that wisdom from learning from other people's experiences because maybe they're similar. So, before we get going into all of that, tell everyone, what's the name of your business, how long you've been in business, and then we'll get into more of your story.
Cool, man. My construction company is called the Pond Digger, and I got multiple little businesses. I manufacture. I have a little company. We do pond um, life support systems and filters called Helix Life Support, and I got a patent in and all that. And it's really fun for me. And then I have a coaching community. It's called Train with Triplett. Triplett's my name. My dad was called Trip. Everyone called my dad Trip. And so Train with Triplett's kind of fun because I was in a coaching community and I was like getting after it. And then when I left to go on my own way, everyone's like, no, wait, bro, where are you going? I want to train with you. And I was like, oh, these guys want to train with Triplett. So it's kind of like, kind of kicked. So I got my hands on a lot of pies, chainsaws and glass balls juggling in the air, But the Pond Digger is the foundation. It's what holds everything together. It's the glue to my life.
No doubt. We got a one of my people. His name is Marcus Tate. I call him the LBCOG, and you were like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Yo, I'm from there. I want to meet him. I want to have him
yeah.
on my show." So you're from California. I'm from Pittsburgh. We're literally 3,000 miles apart. I remember, not it might have it was either last year or the year before that. I got a friend request, or I might have friend requested you. I'm not sure exactly how we became friends on Facebook, but you just DM me one day out the blue and was like, "Yo," and I looked at your page and it was like, I don't know, 14,000 or something. You hit me on Instagram and it was like, "Yo, what are some things you're struggling with?" And I'm like, "Who is this guy? Who's this guy trying to sell me stuff?" And then I end up meeting you at the LCR Summit that first year, and I was like blown away, like, "Oh, like you're real." It
Real,
wasn't just
dude.
it wasn't just a bot that was
It was not a robot.
trying to connect. So uh I just thought I thought that was funny that like I looked at it at first and thought, man, maybe this is some AI or some new bot that this guy's just reaching out. And then I got to meet you and was like, yo, this dude's the real deal. So I'm excited to hear about your story. But what was life like growing up for you whenever you were a kid?
So when I was a kid, I grew up in the LBC. That's why that LBC click, right? Long Beach, California. I was born and bred there. Um, I mean, it is a tough community. I mean, living in Long Beach, growing up as a kid, it was a tough area. but I was kind of like on the outskirts of a little bit. Like I could go, 20 minutes one direction on my bike or my skateboard, and I'd be in by the beach, and I could go surfing, and so I'd like to think I'm athletic. You know, I've talked about athletics and just being into sports and soccer and street football. Like back then, it was street football. We would play street football from the morning as soon as you wake up before school. You played at lunchtime. You played after school. So athletics has always been kind of important to me. It's one of those things like if I'm going to do an interview with someone, I'm going to I want to hold a football. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're going to do an interview. I want to throw a football at them. Because I can tell a lot about someone, the way they catch a football, the way they throw it back to you. It's astounding what that means to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sports is everything to me, bro. Completely is the reason I even probably survived life growing up, bro.
Yeah,
Because you get on the field, or whether it's in the field. When I was a kid, we were playing in between the street, the speed bumps. I'm tripping, bro. In between the speed bumps and in the curb, you got to avoid not only the defender but a parked car. You might have to
yeah,
avoid
yeah.
a
A moving
tripping
car.
over, yeah, bro. Telephone pole, the
Yeah,
curb. Things are unforgiving, but those bonds that you like create whenever you're a kid and you have people that have similar interests to you, that stuff kind of like helped me at least. That's who I grew up with, was everybody who I was playing between them speed bumps with all the way up through basic high school and everything like that. So I like to hear where people came up from, man, especially California. Whenever I was a kid in the 90s, that was the gang era and all of that stuff was going on. That was like South
yeah,
Central, the movie South Central and Boys in the Hood, all of those things
yeah.
were out. So we all were like I don't know,
Not too terribly far from where I was. Like
mesmerized by that.
Snoop Dogg went to a school local, pretty close by me.
Mm.
So like it was, it was tough over there. So you had to be on your game. I mean, I was essentially a latchkey kid. Like my mom and dad were divorced, and my mom worked hard. She worked 2 or 3 jobs. She was out working. I'd come home from school. I'd be alone, and I'd do my homework and make my own dinner and shit like that. Like, this was like I was 10, 11 years old. So, and then my brother was born. He was 5 years younger than me. So I remember at a point where I was like babysitting my younger brother. He's like 7 and I'm 12, and my mom's working. So I mean, I that's how I grew up. So sports was important to me, and hobbies. I collected baseball cards, and I had a little aquarium with some newts in it in my bedroom for as a nightlight, and like, yeah, that's how I come up.
That's wild, bro. That's because that's so similar to me, bro. I was playing basketball. I was 12 years old. I was going to pick my 6-year-old brother up and my 1-year-old sister. I
Wow.
think from daycare, and then I run from practice, literally from my middle school down to the daycare they were at. Pick my sister and my brother up, and then we would walk us 3 back to our apartment. That wasn't that far from the daycare, but like my mom was getting home from like her second or third job too. So it's wild that the people who I believe start once you figure out that like you get to control your destiny, especially if you create a business, and it happens really fast if your business has any measure of success early on, you'd be like
Mhm.
the mind-blowing thing, like, oh my goodness, I could have done this whenever I was a kid potentially, right?
Right.
But whenever you were a kid, what did you already know, like you had a passion for building ponds? You said you had a little aquarium. Did your passion for building
No,
ponds and everything start young?
no, dude. I wanted to be either a baseball star or a football star. I knew football wasn't for me. I wasn't big enough. This was back with Larry Zonka and like Mean Joe Green and the Fridge. Like I knew I knew I just wasn't built for that. But I thought maybe baseball could be it. But then basically, I mean, with transparency, I was around 15. I started playing guitar, maybe 14 or 15. Man, I thought I was going to be a rock star when I grew up. I was listening to Motley Crue when they were coming up on the scene in LA, and so I played guitar a lot. I could just go to work. I go to school. I wasn't a great student. I was a C student, but I'd come home and just do the basics, what I had to do to get by, and I'd play my guitar for like 3-4 hours straight. And I would just practice and get better and better. And then, I was in some bands. I literally thought I was going to be a rock star when I grew up. Little did I know, I mean, I still feel like a rock star, but it's like setting rocks in a waterfall on a
Ooh.
pond edge in a landscape. That's not the type of rock star I thought I was going to be. So, but I was very committed. Like I'm very obsessed with some, baseball cards that go all in. Like, oh, I got to collate them and get all the, get everything and get more stuff. And guitar was the same way for me. Sports was the same way. I could literally play sports for 4 or 5 hours straight, without a break. Just obsessed. And everything in my life has kind of been that way. That's how I am.
I swear it's like I'm talking to myself, or like we grew up in the same household, because that's how I feel too. Is that I can only focus on the things that I feel that way about. If it ain't that, then I don't even want to do it. I don't want to talk about it. None of that. It might sound selfish, but it's just how my brain works, and it's what helped me to be at least happy with me. You know what I'm saying? But well, then what was it that got you into doing pawns? Was it after high school? Was it during school? Some people get started during school when they're younger. How did it work for you?
Good question. So I graduated when I was 17. So I was head. I didn't stay back because I couldn't pass first grade or whatever, kindergarten. Like I graduated 17 and a half, went straight into construction. I went and lived with my dad later, like when I was 16, 17 years old. And my dad was a superintendent for a construction company. So, I was like, hey, I want to make money. I got a girlfriend now and I'm going to be a rock star. I want to get a new guitar. So I was like, I gotta do this. Right. So I got into construction and, I always want to get better. Anything that I'm working on, like if I'm typing, I want to type faster. If I'm learning how to talk to people, I want to learn my personality. I'm going to go all in. Right. So, when I went into construction, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to pass my time and make some money and go do what I want to do. It was like, I wanted to be present where I was at. So present in construction is like, how can I use this shovel better? How can I, swing this hammer better? And how can I speak Spanish better to these guys that don't speak English? Like everything was like that, And so I moved up in construction pretty quickly. The tricky thing happened when I was 19. I got an aquarium for Christmas. Like, when I was a kid, I had this little aquarium. I had fiddler crabs and newts and things like that. When I was 19, I got this gift for Christmas. It was an aquarium. It was fascinating to me. I was like, I'm going to make this cool ass biotope. And then you know what I do, bro? I'm like, I'm all in. I got to have the best aquarium. I got to know the scientific names of everything. And this was a long time ago. This was 38 years ago. Right? What are you, 42? What are you, 40?
Yep.
How old are you? Yeah. So like this was 38 years ago. And I was like, I'm all in on this thing. And like that aquarium really changed my life. I got it as a Christmas gift. So if you're looking for last minute Christmas gifts, buy an aquarium for someone. I mean, it literally could be a life changer. So I know this is coming out around Christmas.
Wow, that man. So,
Yeah.
so one aquarium when you were 19 turned into building pond, or did you start like because I remember on VH1 used to have like storage. I want to say it was VH1. I think it was VH1. They had like Storage Wars, and they had the guy who builds like the motorcycles, like the custom motorcycles for people. And then there was one where these guys put in like custom aquariums inside people's houses. Were you doing like aquariums first and then graduated to outside? How did that happen?
I did aquariums. I do want to tell a quick story because I think this is maybe could be really powerful to the people that you're listening to. Because I had this calling. This was before Gary Vaynerchuk and the internet and all that stuff. I was working in construction. I was like 22 or 23 years old, had hair all the way down my back, skateboarding every day, no shirt on, out there swinging hammers and framing, going surfing on the weekends. It was my life. I was just a kid though. And I was in charge of like 50 and 60-year-old men, 40-year-old men, because I was so into like being better in production and efficiencies. Very quickly, all of a sudden I'm in charge of these guys. And like they were burnt out and drunk and whatever on drugs, divorced, and just like living their worst life. And I had this really crazy moment where I could see into my future through the men I was, yelling at. Like, hey, we got this production. I need this timeline. I need this done. And they were just like, who the fuck are you, kid? You're like, you don't know shit. You know, I'm twice your age. I've been divorced. I'm fucking struck. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, this could be me in like 30 years. And it hit me so hard, man. And at the aquarium store, I would like blow my whole check every week, go to the store and buy whatever aquariums. I had 9 aquariums in my house, like just went crazy, right? And the guy behind the counter told me one day, because I was in there all the time, and he'd want to talk to me because he'd want me to spend money. And he told me that one day he was going to have a business to where he would go to doctors' offices and set up the aquariums, go to the lawyer's office and set up the aquariums and the custom homes and all stuff. And if their aquarium broke, I would fix it. If they needed a new pump, I'll have it in my truck and I'll just install it and I'll make money. I'll give them fish food and sell them fish. And I was like, fuck, I'd blow $500 a week on fish. Like, this would be cool. If I had like 10 people spending $500 with me, and if I start doing the math, I'm like, that sounds amazing. And that was this real twist in me. And dude, I fucking went for it. Like, there was no internet, no nothing. I didn't know what to do. There was no businesses local I could go and talk to. Dude, I just went for it. I quit my job, starved for a little bit. I'm not going to lie, dude. I starved for a little bit. But, like, it's about winning in life. I didn't want to be at the end of my life being yelled at by some punk-ass 22-year-old kid with long blonde hair halfway down his back with no shirt on, going surfing every weekend. And here I am at the end of my life all bummed. I was like, this is not me, bro. That's not winning. I want to wake up in the morning and just be like, I get to play with fish all day. I want to look at the behavior. I'm going to tell these people what it looks like and make sure that they don't kill the fish. Like, it was like the dream to me. That was a win. And I just went for it.
Man, you got me about to tear up, Eric. You get me all hyped. I ain't gonna lie. I already knew this was gonna be fire because every time me and you are together, it's always high energy and real motivating and inspiring to each one of us. But hearing how you brought all of that together is like I didn't want to be. Captain Jack used to tell me he worked at another landscaping company. He'd be like, "Man, I worked at this old man. He was so mean. I just like to work with you because you're always so positive." And I'm like, "Cause, bruh, I'm just as hot as you, homie. It hurts the same way it hurts me. It hurts you. Like, so there's no reason for us to be all pissed off and angry unless you're angry about your life." And that guy clearly was angry about his life. And when you're winning in life, you can't even feel that. Like, even when things are bad or happening, my man Steve-O said, it ain't a loss. You just get to learn. And so if you take that experience when you're an entrepreneur, it's going to be dope. I think that was fire, E. So whenever you started out doing the pond or basically the aquariums and doing all of that with no social media, I tell people all the time, man, these kids, they got this supercomputer in their pocket now, and I love it that they have that advantage in life. So there's no reason to be even talking about this disadvantage from whatever circumstances you got. It might be a disadvantage, no doubt, but now you have the advantage of technology. Whereas even when we was younger, you had to like read the encyclopedia, know how to use the Dewey Decimal System at the damn library. You couldn't just Google this answer. And so, man, oh, that's fire. That gets me fired up, bro. All of that stuff you just said, how you just went for it, because people got to go for it to win in life, to create the life that you want. You got to go for it. And I like how you just said, hell, bro, 19 years old, especially when you're young, who cares about working a job then? You might have to acquiesce when you get older and you got kids and a family. I still would recommend you have something on the side. But when you're young and you still might be living at your parents' house, bro, go for it. Like, go for it. So what got you outside and doing the ponds?
So that's the last piece of the puzzle that's really interesting. So I was running. I started for a while, I tell you, but I started running a successful aquarium installation and service business, and there was a moment where I was just living my best life. Things were cool. I saltwater fish and freshwater fish, everything, and I remember going to this one client's house that changed my life, dude. I go to the house, knock on the door. It's Miss Johnston's house, right? And she opens the door all frantic, opens it real quick. She's like, "I'm so glad you're here. All my fish are dying." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, I was just here like 2 weeks ago and your fish tank was perfect. What did you do to my fish tank? Right. And so she's like, get in here. And I walk through the front door and I got all my tools to take care of aquariums. Right. My shit's efficient. I know what to do. I walk in and I go to make a right-hand turn to head towards the aquarium. She's like, oh no, over here, over here. And I'm like, so confused. I'm like, what do you, I look at the aquarium. I'm like, it's perfect. All my fish are swimming around like fucking angelic and shit. I'm like, my aquarium's dope. What is this lady talking about? And I turn around. She's like, in the backyard. I need you out here now. And I'm like, the backyard? I'm like, drop my buckets on the ground and all my tools. And I follow her into the backyard. We open the door and there's a pond in the yard. And I was like, what? I didn't know she had a pond. And I'm just like, all this is processing through your head. You know how that all that shit happens in seconds? I'm like, how long she had a pond? I've been here for 2 years. I didn't know she had a pond. How come I didn't know this? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this looks pretty new. And I'm like, when did you get the pond? She's like, I put it in a week ago. I'm like, who put it in? She's like, the landscapers. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, the fish are dying. Okay, I know why the fish are dying. I'm going to fix this shit right now. But I'm like, I could have built this pond for her. This pond is no good. Like now there's fish outside. There's fish inside. There's fish outside. Like, bro, like changed my life. And I'm like, so I fixed her pond. And this is the twist, man, because to get it back into construction, running machines, running crews, like to build a pond, this is manpower. You're moving rocks and boulders and digging dirt and excavating and getting machines and hauling out soil. Like this is the construction. And I'm like, dude, I was dangerous because I knew just enough about construction and efficiency and production to be like really good at what I did. I quit when I was like at the prime of getting really, really going up there. And so I'm like, I'm going to hire some guys and I'm going to start building ponds. I don't know how, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where to buy the stuff. I don't know, how to hire people, but all I know is I'm doing that. And that's when I got back into construction.
Wow. So what was the biggest challenge then? Because if you said you hired a couple guys, was it not having the correct equipment, or was it capital, or what was the biggest issue that you had when you were first starting out? Because so many people, they brainstorm and they think. I remember, when I first started my business, and I want you to answer this question in a second, but when I first started my business, I thought that if I had a riding lawnmower, that was the key to winning in cutting grass. And I found out very early, because I had to carry my lawnmower up steps, this wasn't going to work, right? So what was but that was the thing I had to learn by actually experiencing it. What were some of the early things that held you back, or struggles that you went through?
Okay, so this doesn't happen overnight, I mean, this is strategic, it's tactical, you got to think what to do. Like I went home and built myself a pond. I'm like, first of all, I'm going to build a pond. I have fish inside, I'm going to put fish outside. I got to go build myself a pond. So I just dove into it, conventions, learning stuff, networking, and plus I was very tactical and very good at fish already. So I went all in and I built myself a pond, and I got my neighbor and my best friend. And by this time I already had 2 aquarium technicians, that would go out and help me do ponds. I had apprentices. I already had staff in administration. So, they would help me answer calls and do building and stuff. So, the first, I would say, dude, I didn't even have a contractor's license yet. I didn't even know I needed a contractor's license. I built a pond for myself. I built a pond for my mom, and then I built my pond for my mother-in-law, and I got 3 in the ground. And now I'm I know what I'm doing now. And I got my brother-in-law and my buddy and my, all my friends helping me. So it was I would do all the aquarium stuff during the week. And then, dude, I'm winning. I'm literally playing with fish every day, exactly what I wanted.
Wow.
I'm winning. You know what I mean? I'm not going to a job, flipping pizza, or, driving a truck, or doing something that I didn't want to do, that I didn't love to do. I'm already winning. So on Saturday and Sunday, I'm building a pond for my mom. I'm building a pond for my wife. I'm building a pond for my neighbor, And then I felt like I got it figured out. And I'm like, okay, I need to make this work now. By this time I had 100 customers that I was already taking care of their aquariums. So I was just like, oh, guess what? I do ponds now. Because it was a natural progression. Because this lady, I'm already in her house once a month for, every 2 weeks or something like that for a year and a half. And she calls someone else to build the pond. So that at this point, it's just like, it's a positioning move. It's a communication thing, talking to people, telling people, hey, tell your friends, I do ponds now too. So that was that kind of the move. And then it started to escalate and swell, and then I started to make the moves to be like, hey, I need to take my apprentice and have him come into the pond crew. I'll hire another apprentice to do aquariums. And like, I just pivoted that way,
Yeah, I like how you said when you found out you had a pond, you were like, "Whoa, I've been here 2 years and I didn't even know she had a pond."
Yeah.
And then you ask, "How did the pond get put in?" I had it put in. I put it in, and that would make me think she dug a hole. And then she says, "No, the landscapers put it in." And
Yeah.
you're sitting here like, "Oh, that was an opportunity that you didn't even know was going to
Yeah.
be an opportunity."
Yeah.
And then it spurred you into all of this. This is why I be saying, like, once you get started, your eyes just get open to all of these other possibilities because you're
She
doing
didn't connect the
aquariums.
dots. She didn't connect the dots. I didn't connect the dots. She didn't connect the dots. She loves me. I make her aquarium beautiful. I'm in her house. She's buying me Christmas gifts. Like the dots were not connected. And then it's like we looked at each other like we should have talked already. What happened? It was like this epiphany moment, right? So now I just had to communicate to my customers. This is what I do. And I remember the first job I sold this $14,000 pond. It was 1999. I thought I was fucking rich, bro. I was like, oh my God, $14,000. I got this pond for 14 grand. Oh man, it was a tough pond, man. I learned a lot on that pond. Man, I learned so much. But then I was like, now this is real, bro. This is real. Like I didn't run an ad in the paper. I just told my clients, hey, I do ponds now. And she's like, hey, will you build it? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, this is illegal, bro. I need to get a contractor's license. It was 1999. I didn't know any better, So I started making things happen, got my contractor's license, got legit, I'm serious about that. I know contractors that they've been doing it for 10 years with no contractor's license. So I'm like, bro, you are
playing with fire.
You were like walking on edge, bro. So like I pivoted really quickly. It was like testing the waters. I'm going to test my 100 customers and find out if they want it. Find out, like, I want to test the waters before I dive in one direction or the other. And then the wave was there, bro. I was a surfer. I know how to ride a wave.
No doubt.
Let's go get the contractor's license. Let's go.
Whenever you so you start with your first 100, you got your 100 clients, you start with them, you start putting in ponds. Now, let's just say at some point you've done 100 ponds for these 100 people. Now, you can't really put another pond. I guess you could add on to the pond. You do maintenance of these ponds that you put in and all of that. A year, you probably blowing out things and doing the yearly maintenance. Do you even close a pond? You're in California. Is it always warm there?
Yeah, but I mean, we have some mountain communities. We close down ponds. Yeah.
Okay, so then how do you now, once you get past 100 customers, you gotta sell more jobs to get more work? What was the next process for you? Because someone has just started out, they finished their first year and everything was word of mouth. Everything was family and friends. They had 22 yards or they did 6 jobs this year. And next year, they really want to do good and win in their business in 2026. What's the next step once you've handled those customers to get more outside work and get better at that?
So this is interesting. This could really hit with your audience because now there's AI and you're like, you just open up ChatGPT and you ask it something and then it tells you, right? And I'm very involved in that. I'm very in tune with using AI technology to move myself forward, but I'm very into that shoestring budget, shake hands, kiss babies, network kind of thing, right? And that's all we had back then. So here's a 99, 2000, 2001. And bro, there was a moment where I just built a pond at a nursery. The landscape, like they come in and buy their plants. I go in there, shake hands, kiss babies, high five. I'm like, hey, let me do a little waterfall in here and I won't even charge you. Just let me bring my customers here. You can email your people or whatever you do. I'll be here on a Saturday. But then I'd have a working model at this nursery that has thousands of people a year travel through it and buy. And so I did a build a pond day at this nursery, and 100 people showed up. Bro, I couldn't believe it. I thought I was just going to be like, I'll give you the pond, I'll have it in your yard, and I'll put my sign next to it, and then I'll just have constantly people coming through there. So this was literally 1999. That pond is still installed in the nursery today.
Wow.
Do the math, bro. I just sold a job from it freaking like this last month. The same pond from 1999. Okay, so dude, 100 people show up to this event. And I thought I was just going to go there and build a pond and go home and, everything would be cool. But people stayed around all day and they were asking questions and learning. And here's the thing, building a pond can be a lot of work, dude. It's backbreaking shit. And my team was all dialed and we were really good. So we would build this pond out and people were standing around. At the end of the day, some people were like, hey, where can I get all that equipment? I'll be like, I can sell it to you. So like, hey, for $1,500, you can buy this stuff from me and I'll even deliver it to you and tell you how to do it. They're like, okay, and then they helped me build the pond. But then some people would be like, oh, there is no way I am doing this. And then so like, they're like, how can I get you to come to my house? And I'd be like, oh my God, this is working. You know what I mean? So I built that pond and I got $40,000 worth of business that day. Like, when can you come? When can you start? When can you be there? And then, people would also buy this stuff from me. So, and then it's just been a working display for me for, 25 years. So, that was the catalyst. And then I just went and did it at another nursery. I did it at 5 nurseries. And then I started doing ponds for schools and I'd go to the school and then the kids would help me build the pond. And, then 10 years later, the kids that helped me build the pond at the school, at junior high, they're working for me. Wow. It's just this winning.
You seem so confident. And I know you've been building ponds for a long time now, and it's easy to exude confidence when you have so many experiences. But when someone is brand new and they finally got over the mental hurdle of I have my job or I don't want to start this business because whatever the reason is, but now they've actually gotten started. Were you already this confident because you built ponds for people, or what was the inner thing that was inside of you that was like, whether I know what I'm doing or not, I'm just going to go after it? Because the person who just got started, maybe their season wasn't great and maybe it was really difficult for them and they're thinking about packing it up. But what was the inner thing that got you to like, it don't matter, bro. We're going to get this done.
There's different personality types, and you've heard me talk about it on stage before, about different people have different DNA. And I truly believe my DNA, my personality profile leads me in that direction. I'm very, very blessed by that. And I love that. Not to say that everyone can't make that in the different personality types, but I'm going to be really transparent with you and vulnerable because I'm doing new stuff in my life, in my coaching community. I actually committed to doing 52 webinars in 2026. Every Thursday, like Will Smith in I Am Legend out on the pier, every day, at 12 o'clock or whatever time he did it. Like I promised that I would do 52 webinars in 2026. Thursdays, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I would be on the internet. I would be live to help people. If you're a contractor and you're in trouble and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to find your way, I have food, I have shelter, I have structure, I have community. I'm going to fucking be there, right? And I'm terrified, bro. It is so fucking hard. I am so uncomfortable. I'm going to screw something up. I'm going to say the wrong thing. My technology is not going to work. My Zoom's going to fail. Like my mic's not working and the audio, I can't hear the Q&A. I can't help the contractor because I can't even hear them. Like I'm already doing these. I've already done one webinar last week as a trial to get it worked. I got another one tomorrow. And like the technology that I'm working with now is screwed up. And I'm speaking from the heart, but I have a script because I'll talk about mountain biking in a second, and we'll go back to hermit crabs and fucking saltwater fish tanks. Like we can go all over the map. You know me, bro. But like, if I have an hour of a contractor's attention, they don't know me that well, and I can help them. I have to have structure. So I have my brain really mapped out on paper, so I can stay on track. So I can make sure I can show the sequencing to a better life. And so, dude, I'm doing it terrified. I'm doing it as prepared as I can be, but not perfect. Feedback is better than perfection. Feedback is the evolution to perfection. So hopefully by the time I get 20 webinars in, I'll have it kind of figured out, and I'll be fluid and just flowing. But the first 20 are gonna suck, dude. And so yeah, it's gonna be hard. And that's why it's really important that you're doing something you love, like it's doing something that you're winning at, like if you're doing landscaping and helping people fix their yards just because you need to make money, but you don't love it, like that's not really winning.
I agree.
You
I
know,
agree.
so I mean, the way we serve people and what we do to serve people, if it fulfills us, then it's great. Because when I my first webinar, bro, I literally shit the bed. Can I say that? I shit the bed.
Hey,
You know,
you've been cussing the whole time, so why stop now?
yeah, listen, like the first 45 minutes was the content, was it was me, how I am on stage, like I was giving it.
Mm.
But at the end, where I had to like show the structure of how to move forward, it all fell apart. At the end of the call, someone texted me and they were like, bro, you changed my life. I was ready to freaking throw in the towel. I was ready to throw it all the way. And I got the text, and he's like, I'm so proud to call you my coach. And even though I was, falling apart, people were being like, you've moved me, you've helped me, I'm pushing forward. You send me texts like that all the time from your people. You're like, hey, I'm making a difference, I'm winning.
Yeah, because at the end of your life, who cares if you got a $10 million landscaping business? No one's gonna care about that. They
No.
ain't gonna care at all. They're gonna care about how you affected their life, because if you helped in any way, give them an assist so they can go dunk a win in their life. Now you got a teammate for the rest of your life. And at the end of my life, I just said life a whole bunch of times. I just want people to come and be like, yeah, that guy, he was an all right dude. And I don't need glitz and glamour, none of that stuff. I'm literally living my life to help as many people as I can, because I've been poor my entire life, E. I don't need a whole bunch to feel like I'm successful. And that's why I always say, what is a win in your life? I get to come home to my beautiful wife, my beautiful daughters,
So
have
damn
great
true.
great conversations with my son. Like go to do things like Pod Road. I'm gonna be at Sync Live January 28th through the 30th
Yeah.
down in New Orleans, hanging out with Naylor and Pajak and Mike Garvey and Larry.
Yeah.
Like, what is a win to you? Because getting to do things like that, talk to other people who are just like the Pawn Digger, like myself, like Justin White from last week, or any other person that I've ever talked to. And it comes to this type of stuff that we do, creating a business, whether it's a service business, media business, whatever the case may be, and then new ideas that get to come to your brain so that you can continue to do things that you enjoy doing. Because if you don't enjoy doing it, life is really too short. And I know me and E, we're a little bit older now, and the older you get, the more you understand that that is the truth. You just don't have enough time to be bullshitting around.
Yeah.
Do what you love.
I want to touch on something maybe a little dark. Do I have enough time to do that?
Absolutely.
I, in construction, suicide's a big deal. Like it's dark. Suicide in construction is actually really high statistic. It's up there like really high in all of work, whatever you do, right? Occupations. So one thing that I faced, that if I'd known I'd had to face that as an entrepreneur when I got started, I might not have done it. But is helping, my team and staff members through these psychological moments in their life, right?
Mm.
And I have a staff of 15. People's wives leave them, sometimes family members die. Sometimes girlfriends, split up and break up, and like it can be dark at times. But I had an employee that was on the edge. I
Mm,
dumped him off a cliff. I'm a hard personality type. I mean, I am so in love with life. Like I am not suicidal. I'm not
I
gonna,
agree.
what I mean? Like I am. If you hear that if I committed suicide, you need to come and you need to bring the troops, bro, because I'm not doing it. So I'm talking to him and I'm like, bro, there's so many people in the world, and this is what I want to say. This is where it gets kind of dark, but when I talk to them, I'm not like, bro, you're gonna be okay. I'm like, I'm fucking mad and I want to fight for it. And I'm like, bro, you know how many people in life would kill to be in your shoes right now? All of your problems, all of your worries, all of your woes, all your bullshit. There's people that would literally kill a man to be in your shoes right now. They would literally drink the blood of a human being to be where you're at right now. And you want to throw it away? It makes no sense to me, you know? So that's why I'm so passionate about helping those kind of people. If I knew I had to help those kind of people as an entrepreneur, I might not have done it. But I know that if I do it,
Wow, he was killing. I hope this don't
you know, everything we get to do in life every day, wake up, I'm grateful, dude. I want to go do it.
I swear, bro. Listen, some people are struggling at a job and they're miserable because they feel like they can't go any further, or someone else is gatekeeping the next promotion or whatever. Guess who don't get to gatekeep you when you have your own business?
Yeah,
Nobody.
yeah,
You get to create the destiny and the life that you've always dreamed of. And all it takes for you to do that is just to get started. And you don't, I told my daughter just yesterday, she's a freshman in high school. She's playing on JV. She sits the bench in varsity. But I said, we ain't playing for right now. I don't expect you to turn around and be Caitlin Clark. You just started playing basketball in seventh grade. You've been playing for 2 years. I don't expect you to be Caitlin Clark or Michael Jordan as a freshman, but we're playing for when you're a senior. So if we're playing for when you're a senior, now we know we can just work our way backward, just like they say in any business. You just start with the end in mind. Think of the thing that you want and what could you do to go and get that thing? Because that's the win in life. I like cutting grass, I enjoy the smell of it. I like trimming shrubs. I like to see the before and after when I get done something new that I did. But when I talk about love, what I actually love is being with my family and doing things with them. That's the ultimate win in life. And then helping other people. Getting to cut grass and then make videos about that, talk about it, and talk about business is just a byproduct of getting to do something that I found that I truly love. And I like the fact that you said that earlier about doing the thing that you love, because like I said, man, life is just way too short. Um,
well, I want to circle back to your question because you're like, how do you get through that? Where's your confidence come from? Like, I, I'm not just because just because I'm doing it doesn't mean I don't have imposter syndrome. Just because I'm doing it doesn't mean I'm not terrified and worried. I'm just doing it through that. I'm pushing through. The all the success that you want, all the wins that you've dreamed of, exactly the way you want them, are on the other side of that uncomfortability, and I'm pushing through them still to this day. You know,
mm,
and when I get through that hump and I'm winning in that section of my life, I'm going to be looking for, I'm going to move the goalpost, and I'm going to get uncomfortable again in another spot because I want to continue to develop and get better and better. So, you have to push through those moments. You have to find a way through. The buffalo goes into the storm. The buffalo go into the storm to the fastest way through. They're not
yeah.
dancing around the outside and running the opposite way. They just get beat to the pulp, go right through it.
Right through it is the best way. I agree, bro. And everyone isn't like that, but everyone needs to hear that. Because if you're not like that, man, take it from people who are regular human beings. Ain't no superheroes talking to you, at least on this show. And if there are some that I never met them, everyone that I know bleeds red, and whether
Yeah.
they're 5'2" or 7'11", they all bleed the same. So if they can do something, you can do something too.
Well, Wembley's like 7'4", right? Oh,
7'4", bruh. The boy
Jeez.
blocked the shot from the, he was someone was about to shoot the ball. He was down underneath the hoop, took 2 steps and went out and blocked the guy's shot. So maybe you can't. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you weren't blessed with
No, but
that
look at
ability.
bro.
But
You see how
believe me,
Curry's shooting ball differently now because of him.
mm-hmm.
Curry
Higher.
actually he's got a different push because of Wembley. You know, it's adapting, it's moving, it's figuring out how to get to the other side. You know, it's just not throwing like what's Curry just gonna go, oh well, I guess I'm never gonna win. No, he adapts, he pivots, he moves, now he shoots, he throws it higher, sooner, farther, taller.
From further away.
Still swishing that shit, dude. Curry, what's up?
Oh my gosh. So you have private groups, you have a Facebook group where you help contractors. That's what you were actually DMing me about, was joining a group so that we could learn sales and everything. How has not just running a group, but just being a part of a group helped you to continue to win in your business? Because I've been on a lot of the calls. You send me a Zoom link every week. You've been very consistent when it comes to that, E. And there's always people in there. Toodles is some of the people I just remember their names because you guys do like real role playing and everything on sales calls. How has just being in a group kept your skills sharp, and also how has it been rewarding wise, helping other people to really maximize their business?
So before the internet, you know, I would go to a couple, 2 or 3 conferences a year. You know, just like Equip when we share our those times at Equip. But you know me, I'm out as late. I'll close the bar if I have to. I'll stay whatever. Like I am in that networking environment because that's where the magic happens. And it's not because I'm a party animal and I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m. You know, it's because I want to be in the room with the killers. I want to be in the room with the guys. You know, it's cool when they get a couple adult beverages and they're a little bit more, they tell a little bit more secrets. You know what I mean? Like and it's not like they're trying to hold secrets. It's just, you know, it's a little bit of liquid courage and be like, hey, if I share a little bit with him, he might share a little bit with me and I'm going to learn. So like my whole life, I've been doing that since 99. I've been going to these conferences and learning. The internet makes it better. And that's just it. You know, these kids nowadays, they have this phone, they can get on Facebook and get into a group and go, hey, Mac, I'm having this problem. What did you do when you ran into this? Hey, Triplett, I had this problem. Can you share some insights on how I can manage this? What was it like when you hired your first employee? Like, that's what those groups are really for. And, you know, you have to be careful because sometimes contractors just want to flex in there.
Yeah.
Oh, me, look what I did. Like, I can see right through that shit. I call that bullshit out. But, you know, you get in those rooms and you find people that you can gel with. You know, like you and I are homies. Like, I mean, we've talked. Like, remember when you got down at the bowling alley, I called you up. I'm like, bro, we're making adjustments. I want to talk to you before you make any moves.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. I didn't even get to make it back from Louisville before you hit
Yeah.
me up. That's the kind of friends we need.
Yeah.
It's not people who are going to tell you what they think you want to hear, but things that are actually what you need to hear
Yeah.
so that you don't make a wrong step, man. And there's nothing better than having someone that you truly not only admire, but you trust and you respect their opinion. Because Eric hit me up and he was like, listen, I'm crystal clear on this, bro.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
the blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, we went from there. I
Yeah.
cut you off
Well,
though.
You know, it's interesting because at the Win in Life event at the bowling alley, you were like, hey, I might have to do this, I might have to do that. And I'm like, okay. And I took that to heart, bro. You shared that with me in confidence. And I'm like, okay, if I go to an event, this is something I'm going to face. I might have to do this. I might have to do that. And I'll be like, what would I do if I was in his shoes? What can I see from that he can't see? What are the blind spots he might miss? And I really thought a lot about it. And I was like, I got to talk to Mac before he makes any decisions. I want him to hear at least my point of view and my perspective. And if he uses it, great. If he doesn't, at least he has my point of view. And this is the important factor to get in front of these people. You're so approachable, dude. Like, you know, if people are afraid to come up and talk to you, it's crazy. It's preposterous. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to get out and talk to people. They want to communicate. They want to network and make friends. So I think that's important. And so that's what those groups are all about. Only I used to do it in that shoestring world where I'd fly in a plane and go to an event and talk to people. And now it just gets better and better. I still get on a plane. I still go to events and fly and talk to people. But in those groups, I pour myself into those groups. It's like a relationship, bro. If you go into a group and you don't put anything into the relationship, you're not getting shit, bro.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You go in and just sit on the sidelines and watch, you're not getting nothing. But if you get in there and you participate and you give perspective and you are humble and assertive and ask questions, the magic happens there.
Man, I swear. Before we land the plane here, because I want you to give me some practical tips that someone brand new could take into 2026. But before we get to that, you are literally going on like a podcasting tour. You have the Pond Digger podcast. Tell us about the podcast and then tell us about the tour that you got going on.
Well, the Pond Digger podcast is, I've been doing it about 7 years, and it's very fulfilling for me, and I struggle with it sometimes. There's that imposter syndrome. Like, there was times where I had no audience. I just still would do the podcast. I would put it out, So the podcast tour is not necessarily, I'm not going to January 28th. I'll be in Japan at that time. So I'm not going to that event.
Japan.
But I'll be in Japan on a tour up there. Yeah. To get koi for the fish, for the ponds outside. So I'll miss synced up, but, yeah, I mean, I got some big things happening right now. I can't even tell you all the secrets yet, but I will tell you, I'll be at 14 major impact events next year, and I'll be touring 10 cities from East Coast to West Coast. We're going to kick it off in February with a couple of small events, not necessarily podcast related. They're just conventions, getting to know people. But then I will be at Connex. They do it every 3 years. It's like one of the biggest. It's like Equip, but at least as big as Equip, if not bigger. Every 3 years they do it in Las Vegas. And then the Super Bowl is going to be at Equip later this year. But everything in between. I'll be in Texas. I'll be in Louisville. I'll be in New York. I'll be in Florida. I'll be in Phoenix, Las Vegas.
Ain't you going to be in Pittsburgh, I think?
Oh, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'll be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this leave out the best one, man. Come on, man.
Best one. I was trying to put the pieces together, dude. Yeah, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. When is that? March what?
March 21st, the 2026 Winning Life Meetup Service Business Showcase. We'll be debuting a new game there too.
Dude, I can't wait. Dude, I'm going from Texas straight to you. And I actually wanted you to know I canceled something I'm supposed to do in Oklahoma. I do every year. I canceled it this year so I come be.
See, you trying to make me feel special, man.
No,
there's already over 20 people signed up from 8 different states already. So it's going to be, and we ain't even get to January yet. By the time we get to February, March, I expect there to be over 200 people. We had 116 people last year, so we've been breaking records in 2025. Hopefully we can break some records in 2026. And I'm excited to just have you come to Pittsburgh. Have you been to Pittsburgh before, E?
I have been to Pittsburgh.
I thought you said that when we were together.
Dude, I bought, I got some Pittsburgh Steelers cards in here somewhere in my room. Because when I went to Pittsburgh, I went to this baseball card shop just so I could get some Pittsburgh Steeler cards, bro. Yeah. I like
Pittsburgh Steeler cards.
Yeah, I was like knocking the ladies over to get to the fucking card store. I had to get some Pittsburgh Steeler cards. Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, Mean Joe Green. Yeah, Steel Curtain guy over here.
No doubt. Well, what are 3 practical ways what are 3 practical things someone could do in 2026 that would help them win in life and or business, or a little bit of both?
3's a big ask, bro. Gosh, you ask 3 to everyone? Jeez.
No, I just thought, I thought you're just as much of a
triplet. You thought I just hit a triplet?
Yeah,
right,
I thought we could triple down. Three practical things. You could just give us one good one, man. I already.
Let me start with one good one. I probably got a couple other that'll flow out of me, but I believe personality profiling is so important to learn. It's so paramount. You heard me talk about it in Pittsburgh. There's different personality profiles. You have the DISC profile. You have the Enneagram profile. Figuring out who you are and who your family is, who your wife is, who your kids are, who your employees are, super powerful. Who your mom is, your brother. Like, if you can understand their DNA, I told you earlier in the conversation, like, I think about it all day long, every day, like who I am, the fabric of who God created me as. Like, I think a different way, and I think differently than some other people. And so when I communicate with them, I go, oh, I know who they are. I know how they want to be communicated with, and I know I can serve them better. So understanding your personality profile is incredibly profound, for sure. And then, I think about one thing I wanted to think about was, there's that story of the Chinese fisherman where he would go fish and he would be finished by 9 and he'd have all the fish he needed for the day. I think your guys have heard the story, but in a nutshell, this businessman came and said, "Hey, why are you done at 9 a.m.? Why don't you buy get more boats and you could get more to serve more people and then you could build it up and you could have a fleet and you could have this huge business." And each time the Chinese fisherman was like, "Well, what do I do then?" He'd like, "Well, then you get a fleet, and then when I got that fleet, what do I do?" And then you'd go public, and then you'd have all this stuff. He's like, "Well, then what I would do?" He's like, "Well, then you could retire, and then what would that look like?" He said, "Well, then you would, you'd go home early and you'd take a nap, and you would, hang out with your friends and play guitar or whatever you would do, right?" He's like, "Well, I'm doing that now, right?" So the moral of the story is, like, enjoy those little things in life. And one thing that's been really powerful for me and I struggle with, you think I'm all put together, Mac, I'm fucking fighting inside every day, right? I have 40 aquariums in my garage. It's ridiculous, right? But I love it, dude. If I didn't have to make money tomorrow for our wildlife foundation and for my businesses and my team members, I would go in my garage and I would have these fish and I would feed them and I would try and breed them. And I would look at the habitat and I would do that if I didn't have to make money. So why am I fight with the fact all the time, like, this is distracting me from my business. It's distracting me from maybe, growing more, going farther. I could be selling more ponds if I wasn't fucking around with the fish tanks all day long. You know what I mean? I spend about an hour a day in that room. You know what I mean? An hour a day. And, I fight with myself a lot. Like, I should just tear this room down and just go all in on all these other things. But if I didn't have to make money, that's what I would want to do. And I do it every day. So I refuse to give it up, even though I know it distracts me from other things in my life. Okay. The final thing I want to give you, the 3, I will give you a triple. Dude, you got to take care of your health. I fought cancer in 2015. It's probably because I wasn't eating well, I had a lot of stress in my life, and you got to take care of your health. You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the jobs, but if you don't have your health, you got nothing. So, learn your personality profile and lean into it. Be obsessed with it. I promise you'll reap dividends beyond your wildest imagination from that. And don't give up on those fun things in life because you want to go and build business more. Because when you finish, you're going to want to do that anyways. So do it now and don't wait till you're 65 or 70. You don't have the energy to do it anymore. And then take care of your health. Those are the 3 things.
That's fair. I do want you to plug your podcast and your socials one more time, but there's someone who is very, very popular on social media by the name of Gary V. And I know that you went to I think his house and you did a poem for him. What was the experience like to hear from Gary V? I truly believe, if someone's watching or listening to this, they have a business most likely. And if they don't, they're going to have one very, very soon because I believe in them. But if you have a business, now social media matters for you. And you need to be on social media, whether you want to be like me and Eric and have a podcast or be a TikTok star, YouTube phenom, whatever the case may be. That's irrelevant. All right. You can decide what you want to do when it comes to that. But you should have that just to be marketing your business and also to be able to create relationships with people that you admire because you're watching the stuff anyway. You might as well hit Eric up. Oh, I love the video that you did. Show some love. Create that relationship because you're not alone out here. And it can be very lonely when you first start out. So get on social media because a lot of times where you're from, you won't be celebrated, but people on social media will definitely celebrate you and open their arms and welcome any questions that you have and give you answers. And if someone doesn't, hit me up, hit Eric up, hit my man Kim Morris up with the Stripe Life. Hit these people up who I know for sure will give you that good advice. But plug your socials if you don't mind, E, and then tell us what that Gary V experience was like.
Okay, yeah. So you can find me at the Pond Digger pretty much everywhere we go. On Facebook, my contractor community is called TWT, which means Train with Triplett. TWT Contractor Circle. It's just a circle of contractors all dialed up trying to get better with each other. So TWT Contractor Circle over on Facebook, and you can find me at the Pond Digger pretty much everywhere you go. I'm pretty responsive over on Instagram. If you hit me up on Instagram on DM, I'll get you pretty quick. Um, the 6 degrees of separation, right? You know, uh, my wife actually discovered a pond builder. He was just a kid. He was in New Jersey, and in 2013, I invited him out to California to come and train with me, and he flew out and he trained with me for a little bit. This is 2013, bro. I just barely knew who Gary Vaynerchuk was at the time, right? And so he went home, and he's built his business really well, and he's getting better and better and bigger and bigger. And he surpassed me several years ago. He's just dominating. And I hit him up one day, and I was like, "Hey, are you following Gary Vaynerchuk?" He's like, "Who?" I'm like, "Gary Vaynerchuk." He's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I said, "Okay, just listen to me, bro. Listen to the words that coming out of my mouth. I want you to get some Gary Vaynerchuk books. I want you to read his stuff. I want you to, check him out on social and just be aware of who he is. You will work for him one day." And he said, "Okay." And then 3 years later, he calls me up and he's like, "Bro, I had to call you first." I was like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah." When his place caught on fire, he was like, his business burned to the ground. He called me. So one of the first people he called after he called his mom and dad. He calls me. He's like, "You're like one of the first people I had to call." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "One of my sales guys is over at the Vaynerchuk house right now." I'm like, "What? How come you're not there?" He's like, I just it came through the fabric of the company, and all of a sudden Vaynerchuk, and I got a sales guy over there right now. I'm like, "I fucking told you. Did I tell you you're gonna work for Vaynerchuk one day?" And so, long story short, it's Sasha Vaynerchuk, Gary's dad, and Sasha and Gary are like this, right? And so, my buddy Brian's played basketball with him. We went to VCon together. We're backstage, at the concert after V Friends and all this shit. Like, it's been a wild ride, and it's what a fun experience. And I called that shit, bro. I called it like 5 years ago. I told him it would happen, and it did. So it's really, really cool. It's outstanding.
I appreciate you being on the show tonight, E. I appreciate your friendship, and I appreciate you being vulnerable and doing what you can to help the people who are watching this live, and the people who will hear tomorrow and also in the future, as the podcast continues to grow and help as many people as we can. I can't wait to come to California and see you, and I also can't wait till you get here to Pittsburgh so you can see us and how we do things over here. I got a lot of people that I want you to meet. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in March, bro.
Cool, man. Can't wait. I'll see you soon.
All right, E. Peace. Hey, that was fire. Let me know down in the comments right now if you got some value from hearing my man Eric. He is an absolute light bringer in the industry. He's been helping me out, talking to me, sending me words of encouragement, inviting me to be in groups and take part in the things that he's doing. And he has that same invitation here. And I hope that you got something out of tonight's episode. If you did, do me a favor, and if you're on YouTube watching right now, give it a like and a share. If you are listening on the podcast, it would mean the world to me if you would leave us a well-worded review. Hopefully it's 5-star, and if it's not, connect with me on Instagram at Mac_landscaping412 and let me know how I can make the show better for you. This is a Win in Life Wednesday, and we got a meetup coming up on March 21st. 2026. The location will be in Monroeville or Murraysville, which is 3 minutes from Monroeville. I'm just looking for the biggest parking lot I can find, because we're going to be having the 2026 Service Business Showcase, which is a Win in Life meetup brought to you by MACK Landscaping and MACK Attack Media. It is absolutely free. We will be debuting a brand new game, as well as doing our much loved and the most fun event that I think that there is, which is a rock, paper, scissors showdown to give away a brand new starter setup to the person who is skilled enough to win the rock, paper, scissors showdown. So I hope to see you March 21st. I put a link in the description of this video, and it is in the comment section. If you're watching live, you can sign up in my link tree at Mac_landscaping412. And I cannot wait to see you on the next episode of Win in Life Wednesday. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. I wish you nothing but success. And remember, the creator created you to be creative. So get out there and create whatever you want in your life because you deserve it. I'm out. Peace.